Therefore, don't become a person who is so cocooned inside your small world that you forget about what is there outside. All of us have heard about the river Jordan. That's the river in which Jesus got baptized. The river Jordan flows into a body of water called the Dead Sea. Why is it called the Dead Sea? There is no outlet for the Dead Sea. The Dead Sea is a toxic environment. No fishes grow in the Dead Sea. So if you keep yourself only in your small world, without stepping out, you'll become like a Dead Sea. And soon there'll be nothing else around you because your environment is so toxic. It is only when you step out of your comfort zone that you actually discover the kind of person that you are, what you are capable of, or in fact, what you're not capable of also, right? So stepping out of your comfort zone. Moving on, the third point, work on your networking and communication skills. Here I'm talking about the ability to express what you have to say very clearly. What I find is when Naga students end up going to Shillong or Delhi or Bangalore, many times it is because of our lack of communication skills that we very quickly fall behind, See, in our schools also the situation is what? If someone asks too many questions, he's branded over smart, isn't it? Bishi Janyan is na. And so our environment is such that Janilivi Nokwe, Sorong Hai, for fear of what others will say. Whereas what I find is outside Dusra Manawando, like even if the content is less, because they are confident, they're able to like they move ahead of us. Whereas we, even Janyadu Kuli Napare, we, because of the Sorong Hai attitude, many times even what we know, we are not able to express when we go outside. Therefore, if from college days you can build this up, ability to express yourself, at least what you know clearly, then this is a very good life skill which will stand wherever you go in life. In the real world, it's usually the crying baby that gets the milk, which means nobody will come to you giving you everything on a platter. Even in my office work, I have found that many times at an all India level, from Nagaland, I have to make some noise for them to know that Nagaland devi kam hoya ase GST laga, because when it comes to funds being distributed, unless I show that Nagaland devi itu kore ase from Delhi, they will not really bother, if I stay quiet in my own shell, right? So time to time you have to make noise, only then you do get noticed. That is the real world. If you have that Sorong Khai kind of attitude, you'll be left behind, right? Moving on, the next point. Everyone also needs to have some idea about financial literacy and awareness. Basically, you need to know how to manage your money. I know that during college years, most of you will be living off pocket money from your parents or your guardians, but even from this age, if you learn something about money, how the financial world works, this will stand you in good stead. You need to have some basic ideas about investment and savings, taxation, right? You need to have an idea that maintaining good paperwork is a life skill that you start from now. For example, let's say even your certificates. In my generation, most of our certificates, we keep it under the mattress, Like, if I want to ask my mom, Amma, Amilaga class 10 admit card, she'll look under the mattress because all the important certificates are kept there. But then you can move on, at least get a file, keep all of them important. And later on, when you become an entrepreneur, start working, when the GST people come to you, you need to have all your accounts done properly. For Nagas, this is documentation we are very poor at it. Even if you give someone on rent in your house, we don't go for a written agreement. You go outside as college students. When we stayed in rent near college, we have to write an agreement every year. So documentation is an important thing you can start even from a very young age. You need to be aware of online scams that happen. Everyone is on social media, be it on Facebook, Instagram. There are financial scams that keep happening. You being young, you need to be aware of it and in fact educate your parents who perhaps may fall for such scams, and then you lose a lot of money over some mistakes you made online using your mobile phones. You need awareness about taxes also. Here in Nagaland, we keep saying Naga Manwande ku tax nidi, which is not true. Income tax we don't pay because tribals working in tribal area, we don't have to pay income tax. That's how Nagas, we don't pay income tax. But all of us are paying GST in some way or the other. You must have gone and eaten at KFC. If next time you go, you look at the bill. After your burger and chicken and whatnot, niche you'll find something that says CGST as GST, which means you and me, each time you do something like that, we are paying GST, right? Customs duty. See, most people here, I'm sure you like eating Korean noodles, Each time you buy that packet of Shim Ramyun or whatever Korean noodle you're eating, the customs duty has been paid by the person who has bought that huge boxes from Korea. So when he gets it, let's say through Calcutta or Bombay, he pays an extra amount called customs duty and he adjusts it to your total. So the actual value of that packet in Korea may be $50, but here you're paying 100 or 150 because the customs duty has been added. So don't say Naga Manwando tax nide. We are all paying GST or customs at least. Income tax we are not paying yet, right? I could keep talking about these because these are my subjects, but this I'm just mentioning so that you have some awareness. One of the best pieces of advice I have received is that someone told me, spend less than what you earn. It seems like a very simple thing, spend less than what you earn. But this is something we are all guilty of violating. I find that many times we Nagas like to live in very grand ways, even as college students in the cities, the kind of our priorities, like Gordedo, you may be eating dal and rice, but you have to wear branded clothes, that our priorities are like that. So many times I've seen that outside, the kind of image that our outsider friends, non-Nagas have of Nagas is that, wow, these guys know how to live a good life, they know how to party, they know how to dress well. But when they come and see Nagaland, they're in for a disappointment most of the time. I've faced it myself. They come and say, Are, it's actually like this, you don't even have basic necessities, you don't have decent roads, you don't have electricity, water, and yet Baharido, so these are food for thought. Even in our lifestyle, if we begin to live as per our earnings, right from college days, this will stand you to good stead. Moving on, the next point, my fifth point, be aware of your own culture and your heritage, where you're coming from, basically. When it comes to Naga culture and other cultures that influence us today, one of the biggest influences for youth, undeniably, would be Korean culture. I mean, from food to fashion, music, movies, K-drama, the Korean wave, or Hallyu, you call it, you guys know it better than me, has taken over many countries in the West, including India and Nagaland. So basically, Hallyu is Korea's cultural export. They're exporting their pop culture, entertainment, music, TV, movies, and you name it. I have no problem with Korean culture. I myself enjoy it. My wife enjoys it, But we must understand that in the end, there's economics behind it. There's economics behind it. Koreans are able to sell their culture to you and me. We are consumers of their culture. Do you know that Hallyu, or this Korean cultural wave, contributes 10 billion US dollars to Korea's economy, right? So while we are enjoying Korean culture, someone is getting rich. So in this whole process, sometimes we tend to neglect our own culture, My personal experience has been that no matter how far away from Nagaland I go, I've had to be sure, I've had to be more sure of where I come from. Because people want to know what you actually are, So you can ill afford to neglect your own culture or where you're coming from, right? My sixth point, keep interacting with people from diverse backgrounds. This is about mingling with groups that are different from your tribe, different from the class, different from the kind of upbringing that you have, people who are different from your background, basically. This is important because it helps to dispel the negative stereotypes. Many times we have stereotypes. This kind of people are always like that. This tribe is always like that. Negative stereotypes are formed in our mind. But when you actually meet someone from that tribe or someone from that group of people, that's when your negative stereotypes get dispelled. Just because you have been doing something a certain way, or just because your family or your tribe or your clan has been doing something in a specific way all these years, doesn't mean that's the best way to do it. Doesn't mean that's the only way to do it also, right? When you mingle with people who are different from you, it helps to recognize other ways of thinking which are different from your own. And as you interact more, you start to build relationships of respect, of trust and understanding across cultures, which is very important in this day and age. Many times we Nagas have this mentality of plain manuhan, right? Tsimar, Kolami, whatever you call them. But listen to this. Nagaland only generates 10% of our revenue. 90% we are dependent on New Delhi. Okay, Nagaland, from our budget every year, only 10% we are producing by ourselves. 90% we are going with a bowl, a begging bowl to Delhi asking for funds. So, though Nagamanuan bishi putani bishi dangor babe, remember that plain manu that you look down upon, the bitter truth is that it is because of some honest Indian, it is because of some honest plain manu who has paid his taxes that we are getting the 90%. I think this is food for thought for all of us, you know. Negative stereotypes. We are actually living off someone else's. 90% of our basket is coming from somewhere else. 10% ekla thangin na man putani on the streets. You're walking like your dad owns the road, right? My last point. Utilizing available resources instead of waiting for perfect conditions. The Bible in Ecclesiastes 11:4 says, if you wait for perfect conditions, you will never get anything done, right? If you wait for perfect conditions, you will never get anything done. You have to learn to use what you have in your hand many times instead of wishing for that perfect conditions when the stars align and everything comes together and you make your move. The ability to adjust to a situation and to go ahead, chalo, let's just do it with what we have in our hand. This is a very important life skill you should start even from college days. See, Moses had a stick in his hand. That little boy had bread and 2 fish. And yet God used what they had in their hand to perform his big miracle, isn't it? Many times God uses what is there in the situation with that person to perform his miracle. Many times we Nagas, we blame our circumstances. Only if this was there, only if that was there. But perhaps now we need to begin to look beyond that. You know, you yield what you have in your hand and say, Lord, use this to do whatever good you have for me in my destiny, right? So, just to sum up, all these life skills you can practice during a fest like this by participating, right? Because each time you participate, you are exposing yourself to failure. You're moving out of your comfort zone, right? You are interacting with people who are different from you. And you are using whatever you have in your hands. You're improving your communication skills each time you try and do that. So therefore, make the best of your opportunities. Like the theme of our festival says, Carpe Diem, which means to seize the day. I encourage all of you to seize the day, and I encourage everyone, and especially the participants, I wish them all the best, and I hope that this festival just grows from strength to strength every year. Especially all the best to the management as you go and make it bigger from next year, make it an inter-college fest. Thank you for your patient listening. Have a nice day.